Good evening, everybody. My name is Dom Pipkin. Welcome to Friday Night, the Piano Kings of New Orleans, with me in association with Hennessy, coming to you on Nightjar channel. Nightjar is the world-beating cocktail bar in London, along with its sister bars, Oriole, Swift, which serves the best cocktails around. I know because I've drunk enough of them over a number of years, where I've played piano and played with my band and the band the Lapazoos. This evening I'm talking about the music of New Orleans, the piano players of New Orleans, and tonight is dedicated especially to a man they call Professor Longhair, the great Professor Longhair, Henry Roeland Byrd. In the night, in the night, in the night, oh well, in the night, in the wee wee hour between the night and day. Well, in the night, well, in the night, well, in the night, oh well, in the night, well, in the wee wee hour between the night and day. Nobody here got to wait in line or come on the inside and have a good time in the night. Oh well, in the night, in the wee wee hour between the night and day. Jukebox plays, it's the usual fare. Everybody gonna be high on beer in the night. Oh, in the night, in the wee wee hour between the night and day. All these chicks got sex appeal, or when they get to rockin', it's a real good deal in the night. Oh well, in the night, in the wee wee hour between the night and day. But in the night, in the night, in the night, oh well, in the night, but in the wee wee hour between the night and day. But in the wee wee hours between the night and day. The wee wee hour between the night and day. That's a little tune that Professor Longhair recorded way in, perhaps in the very late 40s, if not the early 50s too, and at the time he used to call it In the Dark, not in the night. It was called In the Dark back then. It's still the same lyric though, in the wee wee hours between midnight and day. And in the early days, I think he recorded it more like sort of a... In the wee wee hours between midnight and day. And the dark, kind of like that, with this kind of lolloping, otherworldly kind of Latin style sort of groove going on. And by the time he recorded it on his landmark Crawfish Fiesta album in 1979, he was playing it with this full backing band with this great sort of Latin upness to it. Professor Longhair is a massive hero of mine. I'm wearing his t-shirt right now. There's Fess. There he be. There he is. an early photo of him. His name was Henry Roeland Byrd, Byrd with a B-Y-R-D. And his family, well, he was born out in Bogalusa in Louisiana, which was a very troubled little town, city. It had a very famous timber mill, and there was some awful race riots there and some incredibly bad goings-on and appalling treatment of black workforce by white union. No, the union guys looked out, actually, for the guys, but some bad clans and sort of groups of people. And the Byrd family moved to New Orleans, and little Roy was only 1 year old at the time. Now, in New Orleans, he showed a great natural talent at drumming and all things rhythmic and playing the piano. A natural piano player. He could imitate other piano players. He could imitate the boogie-woogie styles of the day. And the legend that I've heard, what I seem to remember seeing, is that the New Orleans stride piano legend Toots Washington used to take young Professor Longhair down to the clubs, the local clubs, and because he was underage, he used to put a kind of a chalk mark, not a chalk mark, a soot mark, as Fess said himself, on his upper lip to look like he had a moustache and he was older than he was. He was discovered in a club called the Caledonia Club in 1949 when he asked to sit in on a Dave Bartholomew gig replacing the piano player Salvador Doucette. And he played the piano and was hired on the spot as this fantastic young 20-year-old phenomenon piano player settled in New Orleans. And he started out in a troupe. He had Walter Papoose Nelson. Walter Nelson, that's his name? Who later on go on to play guitar for Fats Domino, these kind of people, playing in his band. And the band as a four-piece, and they called it the Four Hairs, because the club owner, Mike, I can't see his name, Tessitore, said that Henry Byrd had rather long and unkempt hair, needed a cut. And so they all ascribed a name. There's Professor Longhair, Professor Shorthair, Professor Mohair, and Professor Needs Some Hair. And the reason why Professor Longhair was called Professor Longhair in later times is because the piano playing world of New Orleans kind of attracts the title of Professor if you are a killer piano player in New Orleans. There would be Professor Jelly Roll Morton, Professor James Booker, and most definitely Professor Longhair. Little obsessed with hair. Look here, she ain't got no hair. Well, you look here, with this girl hair. Well, you look here, I don't see no hair. Well, you look here, with this girl hair. Well, this was the poor boy to death, you know. She was begging to take her out to a ball, but to put it straight, he told her couldn't afford to take no chances. He said, if you married a girl, she had to stand out in the hall. Said, look here, she ain't got no hair. Well, you look here, show me this girl here. Well, you look here, I don't see no hair. Well, you look here, where's this girl here? She ain't got no bald head, ain't got no hair. Bald head, she ain't got no bald head, she ain't got no. Well, this little boy I've been trying to tell you all about. She's supposed to have been a good friend of mine's wife. Every down the story, the same old story. He said he wished you might have married her on some other night. I said, look here, she ain't got no hair. Will you look here? Show me this girl here. Will you look here? I don't see no hair. Well, you look here, I don't see no hair. Bald head. look at her? She ain't got no hair. Bald head, will you look at her? Bald head on with this girl head. Will you look at her? I don't see no hair. Bald head ain't got no. Bald head, she ain't got no hair. Bald head, bald head, she ain't got no. Bald head, she ain't got no hair. No hair. Can't hear me. Oh, okay, and we know why. It's not plugged in. Yeah, it's not plugged in. I need to plug it in. I need a cable. There's one under there coiled up. Okay, everybody, the vocal mic, we just dashed the reverb down. How about that? The reverb has disappeared. I think we're going to be okay like this. We'll stay like this for the evening. I normally have a speaking microphone and a singing microphone, and the singing microphone becomes reverby for singing. We're going to go this way for technical reasons. Lockdown broadcasting technology. That was Professor Longhair's only Billboard hit in 1950, recorded in his early recording career at the beginning of this time around, which he'd made a name for himself in the Caledonia Club. Bald Head, and that gave him one of the extra sort of nicknames as Henry Roeland Byrd. So here he is with a variety of names. And one of the reasons why it was handy to have a few names and you could switch in and out of them was it would help with those tricky record companies who wouldn't always be ready to front an artist, you know, and they were kind of, it was a way to gain a new identity when you needed it. The Bald Head Blues was around in Henry Byrd's early repertoire, and it's just a great song. I've written a few notes, you know, because I'm going to tell you about Professor Longhair, about what he did, and why he's important. And he is really, really important as a blues musician, as a piano player, and as an innovator. And the headline story is he heard another culture's music whilst being, you know, a kind of boogie-woogie piano player, you know. And he kind of added a whole Latin tinge to that. Jelly Roll Morton had done something like that on the piano in classic jazz music a couple of generations before. But it was with Fest that this thing kind of started to resurface in the new style of rhythm and blues that was emerging after the Second World War. Rhythm and blues is the beginning of the big thing, you know, it's the beginning of what leads to rock and roll leading to the immensity of rock and roll and sort of proper popular music that's away from big bands, intellectual jazz strands. You know, there's all these strands to music that come along in this way. I'll play something like a Walking My Blues Away in the way that Professor Longhair would play this in the early days. And what I'm going to try to put in is this kind of busy right hand style that he puts in as he's swinging along. If you love the woman, I'll go walking. Yeah, F seems like a good key. Imagine this used to boogie along. Oh yeah, like rhythm and blues. Well, Professor Longhair kind of straightened it out a bit. And it's been suggested that Professor Longhair's right hand kind of worked like a drum, like a snare drum, specifically a snare drum. in love with a woman she don't understand. Boys don't get angry, just send her to another man and then go walking. I'm gonna walking. Well, I'm going walking, walking them blues away. Yeah, boys, you're gonna hear my story, ain't gonna tell it no more. If you had a woman like I did, down the road you're going and go walking. Just go walking. I'm going walking, walking my blues away. Some say they won't, when you know they should, that's the time they don't. I'm going walking. I'm going walking. Well, I'm going walking, walking them blues away. Well, I'm going walking, walking my blues away. Yes, I will. Well, I'm going walking, walking my blues away. How are we doing technically? Okay, the sound seems okay. Thank you. Yeah, like drums, in the right hand. And kind of taking, it's the double time thing, It's like if it was running along like... Trip it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bounce, 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 bounce. But now it's kind of la 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 da 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 da. Quite an innovation and quite a change to the rhythm that happens just like that. That's just one of the things that Roy Byrd liked to do. His influence in the world of popular music is kind of like, well, it's grown to an enormous stature now. But if you think about it in terms of the big commercially successful names, he made some incredible innovations, but he is not known in the blues world in the way that, say, someone like Muddy Waters might be, or John Lee Hooker, because John Lee Hooker sang, boom, 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 ga-gang, 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 gonna shoot you right down. It's like, that's a big tune, that's like a single, And same with like Manish Boy by Muddy Waters or one of these artists, or think of Ray Charles, big hits. And Fess was like a roots, blues musician, and he sang songs that, they were kind of like offbeat, yeah? I'm walking my blues away, she ain't got no hair in the wee wee hours. That should have been a huge hit, and of course his music has become very well known now. But he kind of still remained loved, innovative, but slightly under the radar whilst he was making these amazing records and coming up with this amazing sound. He played with a band, he'd moved on from the Four Hairs combo now, and some of his recording bands at the time bear fantastic names that he gave them, such as the Shuffling Hungarians. And when he asked about that, Fess, do you have a Hungarian in your band? He was like, I don't think I did have a Hungarian, but I think there was like a drummer who was Swedish or something like that. And he also named one of his bands the Blues Scholars, which I always like the name of. So we've got our right hand doing that, but the massive flavor that comes right into all of Professor Longhair's piano playing and music is the Cuban and Latin American influence. Now this is just enormous with Professor Longhair. It changes everything. It's been suggested that he hung out with like all kinds of nationalities and backgrounds, Cubans, during the, what they call it, the civilian conservation corps program in the 1930s. And, you know, you just got to hear the stuff and get it inside your soul. And if you're the right character, if you're Henry Roeland Byrd, you decide to yourself, I'm going to bring this into the music I play. I don't see any barriers. I don't see any reason not to incorporate it. And that changes everything, you know. So our kind of standard way of playing, well, even like a tune like we were just doing, like a walking blues, like a... And there's that walking line, boom, 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 and everything's got a kind of equal beat, you know. You go to Latin America and everything pushes on a clave. Everything moves, everything's a little forward of the beat. And any Latin bass player will tell you, you know, you hardly ever land on the down, strong one beat. You're pushing forward and putting a swing into it. Jelly Roll Morton liked this. He talked about this as the Spanish tinge in jazz music when he played like the Crave all those years ago. That kind of thing, that Spanish tinge. So if we take that same kind of boogieing tune and put the Spanish tinge in the left hand, we get something, with that drumming right hand, we get something that becomes really quite magical. Let's do it without it first. Now let's put in that lilt. Changes it quite a lot. Yeah, hey little girl. Hey little girl, sure look fine. Hey little girl, I said you sure look fine. Only thing that's wrong, baby, little girl, you ain't mine. You know very well I love you, cross my heart I do. If you don't want to believe me, say no, what more can I do? Oh, darling, every word is true. Oh, yeah, if you don't want to believe me, what more can I do? I do, little girl, I do. Oh, little bit, I do, I do. You know that I love you, what more can I do? I do. I love you true. I do, I do, I do, I do. Well, you know that I love you. One more, baby, can I do? I said bye, baby, bye, bye, bye. Well, bye, baby, bye, bye. Oh, so long, farewell, baby, I'm gone. Professor Longhair took that kind of Latin-y, tingy. Well, it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. It's you play the kind of montuno style in your right hand. Which is a distinctly Cuban way of playing, you know? And you add it to that swinging Spanish-tinged left hand. They call it tresillo rhythm, which is like a half of a clave. Clave is when you go ga 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 ja ja ba ba da ga 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 ga. And the reverse clave is when you go a ga 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 ba ba ju ba ba ga ga. And half of a clave, or the three part, is called a tresillo rhythm. There's also an African name for it, and I a bambula rhythm as well, and that's when you go bat 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 like that, and that changes the way that music rolls in a very, very big way. Like I say, Professor Longhair was making amazing records in the 1950s and going into the 1960s, but I guess artists like Fats Domino and Huey Piano Smith and then later Alan Toussaint were hearing these rhythms, and they were putting them into some songs that had a big machinery and a big gloss and kind of great songs as well, fantastic New Orleans rhythm and blues, but they popularized a lot of Professor Longhair's style. Now, Professor Longhair wrote a song called No Buts and No Maybes. I think this is 1957. And let me think, I'm going to play this one. Yeah, a bit like this. Baby, no buts and no maybes. Lately you've been acting crazy. I can't do a thing for you. No buts and no maybe. Lately you've been acting crazy. I can't do a thing for you. Honey, I got no more money. Lately you've been acting funny. Can't do a thing for you. Say every time that we go out, this is all you talk about. Things you say and the things you do. What you want poor little me to do. Baby, no buts and no me. Lately you've been acting crazy. I can't do a thing for you. Bop 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 ba da ba bop 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 ba da ba da bop 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 ba 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 da bop. Whoa whoa whoop bop 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 ba da ba da bop 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 ba da ba da bop 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 ba da ba da bop. Oh yeah. all you talk about. Things you say and the things you do. What you want poor little me to do. Baby, no but time, no maybe. Lately you've been acting crazy. I can't do a thing for you. Ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba. Do people have questions? Are there any questions? I've got thoughts, many thoughts. Time for Tipitina, like time for tea, but you know, but more in the case of Tipitina. Tipitina, I hear you say, Charlotte. Penn. Yeah. Nice to have you along. And welcome, everybody. This is the Piano Kings of New Orleans, part 3, with me, Dom Pipkin, having a go at unpicking the sounds and presenting the legacy and the beauty of the music of Henry Roeland Byrd, with a Y, known to the world as Professor Longhair, whose T-shirt I'm wearing right now. Claves. Instead of boogie, essentially, you know. We're playing a 12 bar, but we're putting all this, we're playing it in an American, you know, sort of black American roots blues style, but with the language, or you know, the rhythmic language of Latin American music. So I'm going to play a song that became an enormous hit for Professor Longhair. The name of the song is Mardi Gras in New Orleans. It's also been known as Go to the Mardi Gras. And Professor Longhair, we call him Fess, F-E-S-S. Festers believe in justice. Yeah, short for Professor Longhair. Fess recorded and played this song very early on in his career, back in those early 50s days, and this song remained with him. It had a big proper recording, I think, in 1953, at which point it's kind of became the Mardi Gras anthem of New Orleans. The left hand goes along with the bamboula rhythm, and the right hand is like a reverse clave, very fast. Except that he puts a twist on it. He kind of does that. He goes. To me, that sounds like Africa, to be honest. American rhythm and blues goes African, goes Cuban, all at once. Go to the Mardi Gras by Professor Longhair. You know, I'm going to New Orleans, I'm going to see that Mardi Gras. Going down to New Orleans, I'm going to see that Mardi Gras. When I get to New Orleans, somebody going to show me what combo for. Got my ticket in my hand, I'm going to see old New Orleans. My ticket in my hand, gonna see old New Orleans. When I get back New Orleans, somebody gonna show me what come with me. See that to the king on St. Claude and Domain. You gonna see that to the king on St. Claude and Domain. If you stay right there, that's where you wait to see the queen. Going back to New Orleans, I'm gonna see that Mardi Gras. Going back to New Orleans, go to see that Mardi Gras. When I get back to New Orleans, somebody gonna show me what come before. Mighty cool fire. So Mardi Gras, New Orleans blues. Go to the Mardi Gras by Professor Longhair. What's that? Oh yeah, is that a glass of wine? This is a glass of wine. It's very welcome. This is Dom Pipkin with the Piano Kings of New Orleans. And my notes on the floor. 18 minutes. All right. 18 minutes. Got a few songs to get through in that time. Well, I like to play you a little tune called, it's kind of an old calypso tune. Professor Longhair also played in this style. The name of the song, I don't know what the original title of it was, but it was marketed as Rum and Coca-Cola by the Andrews Sisters. And Professor Longhair kind of recorded it as, does he call it? He calls it Rum and Coke, and he also calls it Crawfish Fiesta. He had, for a long time, later part of his career especially, a very important sidekick, percussionist Alfred Uganda Roberts, who passed away recently, very, very sadly. Very recently, in fact, as part of this times that we're living in. So he's remembered for some amazing percussion and very loved musician who was gigging right up to the very end with a Professor Longhair-inspired band, in fact. Yeah, part of Fess's kind of overall Latin feel. This is, he called it, sometimes called it Crawfish Fiesta, as well as calling it the Rum and Coca-Cola. That's Rum and Coca-Cola by Professor Longhair, or the style, or something along the line. It's actually me reinterpreting. It's not a calypso at all. I know. You guys at home, you've all said that wasn't a calypso. That's just Dom playing some stuff in 2 chords. Fess was working in the rhythm and blues world of New Orleans, and big stars were sort of making it big with, the sort of the glitzy hits, the shiny tunes. And he was respected, sold records, but, wasn't big enough. Times went on, and there was the beginning of a dawn of some new music coming from England that was going to really come and hit the New Orleans rhythm and blues scene pretty hard. Before this happened, all this spice, rhythm, polyrhythm fusion, it found its kind of apotheosis in a song that was recorded by a fantastic new emerging New Orleans rhythm and blues artist called Earl King in 1964. And Earl King wrote a song called Big Chief, and this uses Mardi Gras Indian rhythms. That's another rhythm again. That's not Cuban. That's there's all kinds of places where you can put the beat, but it chugs along, and it's like a tambourine percussion-driven kind of beat with bass drums in it. And the drummer on the session, Smokey Johnson, could feel this beat and put it in behind this tune. Earl King had written the song, Me Big Chief, Me Feeling Good, Me Gonna Do Everything I Could. And then Professor Longhair was on piano on the record date, and he came up with a riff and a feel on this song that just turned it into New Orleans rhythmic magic. Big Chief. Me big chief, I feel so good. They gon' do everything me good. Like if I can't put out no. Said he fight walk gon' make me shout. Me big chief, I feel so good. Me gon' do it like I should. Said me big chief, I gotta try. And my score by my side. My spot boy for fire. My fly boy went by no. Said my cool fire. Said me big chief, said here I go. Big chief. Oh, Big Chief Blues. And this is just one of those tunes. Dr. John popularized it and kind of brought it back into people's consciousness when he made a record called Dr. John's Gumbo, and he plays an organ version of it. I hope to mention a little bit more about the Big Chief Blues if I've got time left in this broadcast. He records a super fast version of it when he makes his Crawfish Fiesta album at the very end of his life. And that was the version I always listened to. So I always find it hard when I have to adjust back to the slow version. I know one that had Johnny Vidakovich on drums and kind of goes... might even be faster than that. It's like that. It moves fast. But anyway, we're talking about 1964, and out comes Big Chief, and it's good, and people are listening to it, and the Mardi Gras Indians are listening to it in New Orleans, which is fantastic news. And this whole thing is, rhythm and blues has been crossed over, and one person's done it. He's brought in Cuba, he's brought in the snare drum, he's brought in the African rhythm, the bamboula, he's brought in Mardi Gras Indian music, and his name was Professor Longhair. What happens to a hero like this, and a musician like this? He goes to the 50s, people ignore him, the British invasion takes place, the electric guitar kills off the saxophone, piano blues, rhythm and blues becomes yesterday's news, and before Fess knows it, he's got a gambling habit, and he's kind of living without the means an artist of his stature should. His health wasn't doing too well, and he was, he drifted off the scene. He didn't enjoy the success he should have done. And he remained there, he worked, he had a sort of a job in a store. I don't know all the jobs he had, but he was sort of, one of them was definitely in the record store. And he stayed that way. He must have been playing. But for a number of years, he was stuck there through the 1960s. And around the 1970s, and we've got Woodstock, and we've got Dr. John making waves with Gree, and the sort of trendy new presentation of New Orleans to the world through a sort of psychedelic sound that Mac did so well, Dr. John did so well. He was a great champion of his heroes, and he recognized Professor Longhair, who he'd been friends with as well and stayed friends with, as important. Word started to go around. Quint Davis of the new Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans, which has become an institution and recently turned 50. Last year, in fact, I was there. It was a good show as well. No Rolling Stones, though. Decided to find him, and they tracked him down in the store. And Quint Davis, Dr. John, and a lady named Alison Miner, who then went on to manage Professor Longhair, they brought him back at the beginning of the 1970s. They put him on at jazz, the newly interest that was developing in New Orleans music, and they put it on the big New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival stage. And he was back. And he came back with all the travel to foreign countries, to Europe, he'd never seen snow before. There's a picture of him with, this super cool sort of snowy hat on and these shades. I think he kept that hat and wore it in Louisiana afterwards. You see pictures of him in it. This kind of Russian-looking thing. And his big shades. He's got him on there? No. He's all looking out. He was hired by Paul McCartney to play on the Queen Mary for a private party. And he had a band with him. And that was made into a record. And I'm talking about how Professor Longhair, he kind of really helped move blues, jump jive, rhythm and blues out of the kind of, I got to the like, and then even more square, and then, just moving it more and more into this kind of squared. When I say square, it means the way the beat goes. Instead of that kind of thing. And the new generation of musicians influenced by funk or feeling funk, they're kind of going, this style that Professor Longhair plays is like funk music. It's got the whole sound of funk music. And you get a 1970s documentary, not a documentary, a big glitzy New Orleans TV show. I think it's 1974, and it has Professor Longhair on the piano with his shades on, and I think the hat, and Dr. John playing the organ, and the meters backing, so you've got the whole of the meters, and you've got like Cyril Neville on horn, I think, you've got the horn players, and there's some outrageous costumes. It's right in the 70s, the whole Stevie Wonder thing is going on, Parliament, and New Orleans. My friend Charlotte Penn asked for a song. We haven't kept this very interactive, but I'm just talking at you all and telling you the story. If there's anything anyone really needs to say, we're all good, yeah? Professor Longhair wrote this song. The song goes quite a long way back. It's called Tipitina, When asked what Tipitina, well, no one really knows what Tipitina means, but Dr. John, who also plays it and was a good friend of Professor Longhair's, suggests that Fess may have said that it was about a bird. And that's the only reference ever, and that doesn't come back anywhere. It's about a bird. It's a bird, you know. So Tipitina, I always think of it that way. I like that. Now, the Tipitina is like the Junkers blues. It's an 8-bar blues. It's a proper sort of, you know. Kind of like Jack Dupree might play or something like that. But when Fess was playing it in the 70s, and with the new musicians who were working with him, he was getting George Porter on bass to lay down. And it's turned into funk music, and he was there. He knew about it, and he was putting it out in that Latin style back in the late 40s and early 50s. Let's have a go at Professor Longhair's Tipitina. Tipitina, tra-na-na-na. Tipitina, tra-na-na-na. Tipitina, $1. Drive the blues away. Oh, Roberta, oh, Roberta. Can't you hear me talking to you? Well, you're 3 times 7, baby, and you know what you wanna do. Tipitina, tra-na-na-na. Tipitina, tra-na-na-na. Tipitina, $1. Drive the blues away. Times 7, baby, and know what you wanna do. Say bye, Tipitina. Bye, 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 bye. Leaving in the morning, down the road I'm going. everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Dom Pipkin. Check out the PayPal link if you feel like tipping the musician. And this has been the Piano Kings of New Orleans, Part 3. I'm back with James Booker, Alan Toussaint, Dr. John, and all the guys that use the heaviest drugs on the piano scene in New Orleans, and that's in 2 weeks' time, the 17th. Thanks for being along. Chuck in a tip if you can. Look after each other, and I'll see you all again soon.